I'm Safa Ghnaim, and I work at Technical Tech. I'm a project lead for our project called the Data Detox Kit, which I'll talk about. And I'll also tell you more about our other projects, Technical Tech's other projects, because I think you might be interested in them. And I also will be making a series of strong statements. So I'm hoping that you hear me out, and hopefully I can give you some interesting ideas and critical things to talk about as well. So tech is for people by people. This is a sort of sentiment, maybe not exactly that statement, that I often heard when I was working in startups in the past in various tech capacities. And my colleagues, they were always really idealistic about the future of tech being this like ultimate save-all help for humanity. And absolutely, I have no doubts about the benefits of tech. There are so many fantastic things that come from it, where it's anywhere from connecting people across the globe or just giving us information at like the tip of our fingers, improvements in medicine. It's fantastic. But there is a darker side of tech, and that's where I'll talk a bit about data collection. So I don't look at data collection from a business perspective. I think that discussion comes later down the line and with people a lot more qualified to talk about it than me. But for me, first and foremost, I look at data collection from the perspective of myself as a person, as someone's daughter, as an aunt, as a friend. And so, we talk a lot about the benefits being so plentiful of tech, and that's absolutely right. But I argue this, that if our most vulnerable are being exploited or put at risk, then I think that simply means the tech isn't working, that we need to find a different solution. So again, there are loads of positives to tech, but on a scale, the negatives, which are anywhere from marginalized communities, missing or losing opportunities, it might be elections being swayed, as our friends at Mozilla mentioned, and let's not forget about hate speech making the difference between life and death for individuals and entire populations. The scale is pretty heavily tipped over on the negative side. For me, there's no doubt about that. So I think that tech has an opportunity to change, to improve, and to better meet our needs. And I think as much as we can, pick out the nice parts, it's clear to us as a whole that the system is actually quite easy to corrupt. So it's a big task. I talk about it easily, but it's a big task. Rethinking tech as we know it today, I understand is not like this easy thing that we can do over coffee. But so the core of so many of our technologies are based on a system of monetization of our data. And this is the data collection part of it. And then using that data to sway us. So let's look at this like spectrum. On the one hand, there's signing up for a newsletter. That's no big deal, right? That's like a pretty low risk situation. Maybe we get a little bit higher with buying something that we didn't intend to. And maybe quite a bit further to voting in a certain way. Maybe in a way that we also wouldn't have normally intended to. And it keeps going. The spectrum keeps getting heavier and heavier. So, as I mentioned, these all fall in different spectrums of the extreme. I'm not saying that it's exactly the same thing, but it is the same spectrum of coercion through tech, one could argue, which I argue today. And so I think understanding one is actually going to help us understand the rest, and to better understand the risks involved in something like, encouraging a target audience to do something innocuous, to like signing up for a newsletter. That can actually really help us to understand the higher and higher stakes that come with it, and how whole groups can be swayed and harmed at the same time. It's psychology, actually. So who do we most want to protect? And I think that'll be different for everyone, and that's really important, and there's a lot of value in that. So, our children, our parents, absolutely, we want to protect them. But I see it as, actually, we need to start with ourselves as individuals. It's like when you're on an airplane, and they tell you that if the breathing masks come down, to take care of yourself before you can take care of the person next to you. And it's kind of the same idea with your tech, with your accounts, with your data. So let's start looking at our own risks, understanding how tech is harmful to ourselves. And with that knowledge, then we can better support the people who really need our help, who are the more vulnerable. maybe like our children or our parents. So my project is called the Data Detox Kit, and since its launch in 2017 with the gracious help of Mozilla in making this something that people can actually use, we have reached quite a lot of people around the world. So basically the Data Detox Kit is a toolkit that provides like a breakdown of how you can better protect your data, and also looking at other areas as well. So it basically is giving like these precise reflective steps. So it's really easy to follow along for anyone, regardless of tech level, tech literacy level, whatever you want to call it. And we also give a lot of just like general critical thinking skills and like tough questions to ask, so that it's easy to apply it not just to Facebook, let's say, and Google, but maybe to some other tools that are used as well, because technology obviously continues to change. And it's all in a very simple format. So recently, we released a new and expanded edition, which I'm really excited to talk to you about, and it includes new content. So before we focused just on privacy, but now we're also looking at security, and we're also looking at wellness, and this sort of combined approach is helpful to answer a lot of the questions you might have, especially if they're sort of basic questions too, and concrete steps. So this has been used, we're really thankful to have had such an outreach. It's been used in organizations, classrooms, libraries around the world, also in like businesses and companies, and in like one-day workshops, or like these various like professional development activities that teams can do together. It's also been in media outlets, and our goal is to help anyone really find the right way to engage with technology in a way that makes sense for them. Like I mentioned, it's different for everyone. What's important to you is different for everyone. Maybe one person wants to shut down their Facebook account, but the other person really needs to stay on there because their family's on there and it's the only way to connect. So I think everyone has a different answer for that. And just to warn you, in the next few weeks, we're gonna launch like complete rebranding. So if you visit the website in like 2 weeks and it looks completely different, don't be alarmed. It is the same website. And okay, so let's say you're too busy to sit down and read our articles, and I totally hear you, that's fine, and that's why we actually came out with essentials. And so our Data Detox Essentials are just 5 basic steps that you can do, like first steps. And you can pick and choose, you can do like 2 of them or 1 of them, as you wish, you can do all 5. And it's just a few simple settings you can change on your phone, or settings you can change in your accounts. That'll make quite a big difference. And actually, here's one of them if you want to do them now. I will not be offended if you pull out your phone right now. I invite you to, if you would like to participate. And you can actually change the name of your phone. So let me tell you a bit about why this might be helpful here. I should stand here so I'm not in the way. So we have instructions for Android and iPhone, and this is the second step of our essentials. It's called Don't Call Me By Your Name. So at some point you may have named your phone for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or both. Or maybe the name was automatically generated during setup, and that means that Alex's phone or Safa's phone is what is visible on everyone's Wi-Fi network when you try to connect to it. Or maybe if your Bluetooth is turned on, it's basically everyone that you pass on the street. They can see it. So we recommend that you change the name of your phone to something less personally identifying, yet still uniquely you. Like, you can still be cheeky about it. Here's how on the screen. And I personally like to change my name every few months when I'm bored and waiting for someone, like at the subway, or and I like to choose really random names. So I will choose something like Get Off My Lawn, or like The Land Before Time, My Neighbors Suck, This Is a Virus, really just anything. I just change it to anything that isn't my name that I think will keep me a bit safer. And yeah, so these steps are also on our website in case you don't have a chance to do it now. And yeah, so I welcome you to try it. And that's what all these steps are like. They're all really short and simple. So we also cover various topics, how to spot fake news, how to spot dark patterns, these design patterns that are meant to get us to click on that flashing green button. We also will walk you through how to set up a new phone securely to make sure that your data is as safe as possible in that moment. And then we look at some other topics as well. So we have smart habits, which is how we refer to habits that you can use on your smartphone, because we are the ultimate dad joke community. And this includes some really interesting food for thought too. So for example, there's a study done, I think 2 years ago, that said that we, on average, check our phones 150 times a day. Every day. Like if you did anything else that much, you would go to a doctor. But we do this I do it every day. And I'm really trying to be more consciously aware of it. So it's just imploring us to be more aware of our habits and to make changes where we see fit personally. Yeah, we walk you through how to like de-Googleize your life if you want to, how to take an app cleanse, what some alternative apps are that are more privacy oriented. And what's important about our alternative apps is that it's not exhaustive. There are a lot of great privacy oriented apps. We just curated a short list, but really there are so many out there if you take a look. How to fortify your browser, and more. And this is just a look at the alternative app center that I mentioned. And so now I'll talk to you briefly about Tactical Tech and the other projects that we do. So I'm lucky enough to work at Tactical Tech, and for about 16 years, they've been investigating the different ways in which technology has run amok, mostly when it comes to data privacy and digital security for both general people like me and activists, for example, people who severely need to stay private for whatever reason. Tactical Tech, we're a nonprofit organization, and you can find out more about us on our website if you're interested, and we're also quite active on Twitter at InfoActivism. We have quite an existence there. There are lots of great organizations, and we really like to showcase them. The Glass Room is another project that we have. It's a big exhibition that we've put on in Berlin, New York, and London, as well as mini pop-up versions that we've put on in 150 events in 25 countries around the world. We're really proud of it. So basically, imagine this. So it's designed to be this clean, white aesthetic, similar looking to a high-end tech store. You can see everything is really white and pristine. And so people seldomly seek out the Glass Room. Usually what happens is they stumble upon it by accident and they think they're going in to look at the newest iPhone. And then what they enter to is really shocking. So the Glass Room brings up many questions to ask of tech, as well as ways of visualizing data. So one exhibition piece that stands out to me that I think is a good way to imagine what you would find there, it relates to data breaches. So we featured one artist's work who had published this really big book, and it was full of passwords, passwords that were previously leaked to the public in a hack or a data breach, I believe. And so she published them in a book, and we put it on this table, and people would crowd around the table and look through the book. And it was something like 70% of people found their password in the book. And it was either because they were in that breach, or more likely it was just because they used password 123 as their password. And so it was a really memorable experience, to say the least. And we still do these around the world, and we're just really hoping that they'll kind of sow seeds of change. They'll stick with people. It's a different way to talk about something that sounds, data sounds really boring. But this is quite a funny way to do it as a group. Funny or creepy Black Mirror, but we have another project. I'll just talk about two more, I promise. I'll be quick. This one is called Data and Politics. And I'm sorry, the URL is humongous. We're working on a shorter URL. This might be interesting to you if you are curious to look at how data is used to sway political campaigns around the world. So this project has gained international notoriety, mostly through its original project was a 14-country study, and it was carried out with local field partners who investigated the ways in which technologies like social media, chat apps like WhatsApp, targeted advertisements have been used to sway votes. And out of that 14-country study, my colleagues, they found a bunch of patterns, things that were recurring in these countries. And they were patterns among the tools of the influence industry, they call them. They wrote a guidebook that is free for everyone online. I mean, we're a nonprofit, so everything we do is free online. And that guidebook explores those 13 recurring methods. So quite creepy, but it's also very interesting and very important to know about, especially in the sort of modern landscape of voting in our day and age. And last but not least, I will mention exposing the invisible. So this project hopes to inspire people who are committed to transparency and accountability. Basically, everyone. You don't need to be a tech specialist, you don't need to be working in any particular field, and the goal is to expose corruption anywhere from a small local community to a big business. And in fact, they have very recently released this guide, which is called the Kit, and it supports all of us as investigators. It talks to us like we are all already investigators. And it teaches us how to carry out investigations ourselves, safely, securely, with different tools and methods. And it gives you kind of a community and maybe the boost that you never knew you needed. So thank you for listening. I hope that you will also join my talk as well. We're going to be looking at what data is. And it'll be obviously in a workshop format, so we're going to be sharing ideas. And after that, you're going to be an investigator and do some investigations into someone's browser history, which is along the line of the creepiness. Yeah, but it's very interesting. And finally, we're going to start your data detox in any way that you so choose. So no pressure. So thank you so much.